Hey, I'm here to drop in for a little coffee talk and tarot. I'm going to go ahead and just start to season the decks here. See if anybody gets the memo and shows up. And if not, we'll just go ahead and flow with it, go with it, and you'll catch it on the replay. But I decided that I just wanted to go live because it would be easier. I've been really getting caught up in upload bardo, man, and I don't want to deal with that anymore. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that anymore. It's been really throwing my schedule off. So I said, let's just go ahead and go for it. Let's just do a live today. And I think I'm going to do just a general energy read, see whatever wants to come through. I'm going to open up with the herbal astrology oracle here and just see what planetary energies are at the forefront, what the general theme is. And I mean, we can go ahead and put a little bit of a bubble around it, a little energetic bubble. What's going to be coming in, what's going to be showing up on the scene over the next 72 hours. We usually work with that time frame, and I think that's pretty good. It does give an opportunity for these themes to start to introduce themselves and show up. So let's check it out and see what is the general energy tone that is forward for the collective right now. What is the general energy tone that is covering the collective right now? What kind of soul soup are we all swimming in here? All right. Ooh, I like this. Okay, we got some guardian energy coming through for us with Palo Santo here. So you might be doing a little clearing of the air. You might be clearing out some heavy energy. Some of you may be connecting with your ancestors. You may be feeding your ancestors today. You may be doing some altar work. I got this kind of energy. I do feel like we're in the stages of the energy that's still kind of working out in relation to Pluto. And of course, we have that grand water trine on the scene. But we also have those Mars square, Mars square Saturn and Pisces, yeah, going on right now. Hey, how you doing, Jamie? Good to see you. We do have Mars square Saturn in Pisces right now. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So we are dealing with, kind of the box in relation to being in that rut, being in that box that some of us could consider like a sense of finality around, like, put a fork in it, it's done, this is done, dusted, something that is more related to cycles we're closing out here. And this is what is at the forefront right here. This is this energy right now, just kind of holding a little space around what's coming to a close, holding a little space around the endings in our lives, but also calling in a little reverence. And some of you may be calling in a little support from your ancestors. Oh, you're quitting YouTube? Why are you quitting YouTube? Do you have a channel? Have you been like actively building your channel, or you just need to take a break from YouTube? I can understand that. Sometimes you need to unplug. You need to root with the simple things of life. You need to clear the air, okay? Palo Santo coming through. People needing to kind of clear the energy around them right now. There is a big collective load of energy at this time. The energy is kind of heavy. And of course we have the combative energy. Oh, hello, thank you. Welcome into the room. You don't, Jamie, you don't suck. Oh, well, you know what? I'll check out your channel. Don't leave just yet, okay? Maybe we can amplify it for you, Just be open. It takes time. YouTube isn't easy. It's not easy. People kind of get into it and think it's real easy to get traction. It's not. It's a lot of hard work, okay? Yeah, come on. Believe in yourself, man. I'll check out your channel, all right? Make sure that make sure that on the replay you leave me a comment, so I have your handle and I can check out your channel. Okay, I'll see what I can do to help you out there. So yeah, we need to clear the air. We need to clear the energy. We need to get a little breathing room, maybe. Don't make any rash decisions, okay? Like quitting your channel when we're dealing with these squares, okay? Because it can make you feel really frustrated. You can feel really hemmed in, and just kind of let the energy subside a little bit. Also, there's a lot of activation with grand water trine going down. There's a lot of kind of tense stuff in the astrological atmosphere right now. So let's just, kind of take a breather for a moment. Pull out your sage, pull out your Palo Santo, open up the windows if you're somewhere where it's not too cold, and just let some fresh air in, or go for a nice walk. Just, take out the trash. Don't get yourself in a tizzy over things that feel like they're just not going anywhere right now, or where you feel like the energy's kind of heavy. Everybody's in it, and likely you're probably sensitive and picking up the energy that's, in the atmosphere. Yeah, it's cold here too. It's snowing here too, so I relate to that. But I kind of like it. I kind of like getting out in the crisp, cold air of the winter. I think it's good. All right, what do we got on the bottom of the deck here? Yes, see, conduit. All right, conduit. So right now you're probably hypersensitive. You're probably really feeling the energy in the atmosphere. Water is a conduit. So when we got the groundwater trine going on, it's also pulling on the waters within you. So you're picking up a lot intuitively, you're picking up a lot emotionally. We've already moved through a lot of heavy Pluto territory that's kind of being closed out. But there's still the remnants of that there. There's still some underworld matters that we are closing out. We got like 1 foot out of the grave and 1 foot, on terra firma, ready to sort of give it another go, you could say. So I think this energy is just really at the forefront here, where we're picking up a lot of energy. And, you can take it on and take on the load of sort of where the collective mind frame is at. And a lot of people are sort of in this place of feeling like things are hopeless and there's no point to anything. And if you take that on, it can make things very difficult moving forward. But there's also a lot of magic in this moment too, okay? If you open up to it, you can get a different perspective. Yes, Pluto is hanging out there, but we got Mercury hanging out there too. And we also have Neptune on the scene. So you can very much turn a nightmare into a dream, okay? Aw, see, look at that. I like that. Community showing up. See, Jamie, you got a sub right there, okay? So let's go ahead and just get an overarching theme for this energy. I think I'm going to get back to doing this more, where on Saturdays we kind of just have like little conversation with the cards, and we get together as a community, real loose, nothing real structured here, but just give a chance for us all to drop in with each other when I have the bandwidth for it, because it is a whole different thing to go live than it is to pre-record something. I mean, I always record my stuff in live time. I don't like edit out, anything from my reads. But the reality is that, it's different. It's different reading when you're live. It does require you have a certain amount of presence. Yeah. You see, this is what's really interesting is, there's a lot of heavy energy, but there's also a lot of room to invite some dreamy kind of energy in here. This is coming in with the energy of Saturn and Neptune. So yeah, that's that Piscean flow right here. I don't know. Are you a Pisces, Jamie? I think it's interesting that as you say, guess my sign, I'm noticing that there's all of this sort of like Piscean energy coming out here. We're adopting a new flow at this time, where we are kind of like bumping up against the way things have always been, or what we expect our possibilities to be. But it's really interesting to me that With this coming in, there's also the energy of 18, which reminds me of the moon, which is also associated with Pisces. And well, there's the Leo there. It showed up anyway, Jamie. There's the Leo there. So here we have a lot of Mercury and Uranian energy. See, so it's very much like an interesting atmosphere at this time because the opposites are really at the forefront right now. We have this sort of like dreamy landscape, but at the same time, we have the structure of the squares going on with Mars and Sagittarius, square Saturn in Pisces. And there's also, action going on with Neptune too at the forefront here. And all of this is communicating to us on a deep level. And what it's communicating to us is almost like, it gives me the impression of like sonar waves of times when we have been in a certain position in our lives in the past where we went after a dream, and we did all the work and we fell short in some way. And so, it's kind of difficult to figure out, well, how can I go for my dream now in this current environment because everything's shifting and the same rules don't apply. People are starting to wonder, what does it even mean to have an aspiration in this climate because so many things are unpredictable and so many people don't really know like which way they're going or how things are going to turn out, and how do you even dream in a space like that. And it's also trying to figure out, how do you keep grounded when everything is sort of up in the air like that, because that can take people really out of their body. And what I see here is what's being concealed from you at this time is that there is a need to step into a position of leadership. And you see hints of Libran energy, Aquarian energy, which is also Leo rising there in the background. And we, of course, have Leo here too. And with lion's mane is something that's used a lot to help tonify the nervous system. And we see that here with poppy too. Poppy also helps tonify the nervous system. So I do feel like there's something coming through here about making sure, we're really rooting ourselves as we're closing out these last vestiges of past stuff that we're bringing to a close. Make sure you're rooting yourself in some daily grounding practices. It's really important because there's something coming in here where each of us in our own way is going to get somewhat of a wake-up call. There's going to be something that comes in really unexpectedly, and it causes us to have to take the lead in a situation, which means we have to make a definitive choice here. And at the same time, what we're being asked to take a lead in does have ties to what is ultimately the fulfillment of a dream. And it requires us to put certain things in motion. So this is, something that is important for us to put some focus on, but you can't really root your dreams if you're kind of up in the air, right? You have to have practices that keep you really centered, keep you really grounded. Okay. We need these things that really keep us grounded in order to root our dreams. And that's the trick right now. We're trying to get our sea legs, and it's a little bit turbulent at first. Squares are not easy aspects to move through, and they're going to be coloring the rest of, December here. So that can be really challenging. And poppy, poppy is that energy that can really be a medicine that you need to hold with a certain sense of balance, right? Because on one end, poppy can be used to take yourself to a very relaxed sort of space where you can really be in touch with your senses. It can help calm you down. It can help relieve your mind. It can help you get sleep if you've been struggling with sleep. It can help you sleep more deeply. It can help you really access the dream realm. It can help you also with doing kind of journeying work, meditation work. But poppy is also, where you get opium from. So there's that addictive quality that can be there too. And this is sort of at the forefront with this climate we're moving through, where there can be this sense of a desire to press the eject button, to have a sense of escapism. And so this is something we need to veer away from. And that's why the grounding practices are so important at this time. We need to take the lead in our lives to strike a balance, to understand when we can take time to sort of enter those dreamy waters and just allow ourselves to get lost for a while and intuiting what's coming up for us and allowing ourselves to dive into our emotions and do that kind of more spiritually focused work. But we also have to be able to operate in the marketplace. So I feel like right now it's really essential to make sure we're doing this work of getting very grounded, staying very focused, having those day-to-day grounding practices that allows us to make the best use. No, there is no indication that you're a good boy. In fact, you may be a very bad boy, but even bad boys can be redeemed. I'm interested in sort of like role-playing games, I would say, Jamie. I'm not big into video games, but I like role playing. I think role playing can be kind of cathartic, actually. Role playing is one of the ways that you can kind of take the lead too. If you feel like I'm not a leader, I'm not used to being the person who kind of puts myself out there at the front of the line. I'm not used to taking charge. Maybe you can try it on for size. But I do see like there's something coming in here for the collective where there's some kind of message coming in, comes in very unexpectedly. It brings an opportunity, something that is aligned with the North Node, okay? May bring you together with community, a whole new community of people or other people. Maybe there's like a little bit of a collaboration spirit in this. But there's also something here where you're going to take the lead, okay? You're going to be the one who's going to be at the forefront here with this. And maybe you're not used to being in that role. Maybe you don't want to be in that role, But there's something within this that if you allow yourself to step into this role, it has all the makings of a dream. And maybe even a dream you set in motion a long time ago. But it is going to require that you have good grounding. I really see this as coming through. You don't see this coming, not with it coming in with the energy of the moon. Something is absolutely concealed here. But this is about you taking the lead here. And it's going to be up to you. I do feel like there's an opportunity coming in here to grab a tail of a shooting star and take it all the way up to the North Node. But you're going to have to be in a position where you're willing to take the lead. You're willing to take the lead. And some of you may be used to letting other people call the shots, letting other people take the lead. You may have put your dream or your desires in somebody else's hands. You're waiting for them to come on through and work it out for you. Like it's not going to happen. Like you got to take the lead here. There's something you need to do. There's some kind of balance you need to strike here. There's also something you probably need to cleanse away. It's important to do a little reflection too, especially if you feel like I don't have the ability to step up into a leadership position. I don't have the ability to take charge of my life, to take the lead in my life. I don't have the ability to actualize my dreams. You absolutely do. You absolutely do. I mean, you don't need another person to really help you get this in motion. But I do feel like you're getting a little helping hand here where there's a message coming in to give you the opportunity to rise to the challenge. That's what I see, okay? Comes in very unexpectedly and it has the making of your dreams. But in order to ground this in reality, you got to take the lead, you got to take charge of your life, and you got to get real balanced, okay? But I think you're ready for it. We got psychic healing coming through here. I think there's certain deceptive territory you've been moving through. I think you've had to see things you didn't necessarily want to see. I think you're able to see a new way to move forward Where others only see darkness, you have night vision. You can see through the dark. You can find a way through. We do have this energy of total alignment with the North Star. They're also coming in again with the moon and Neptune. Okay, so the Neptunian energy is really at the forefront right now, but it's an initiatory gateway to transformation and also integration. This is about psychic healing. This is about calling those parts of you home. And yeah, I mean, I'm seeing what you're saying there, Jamie, about your mom abandoning you when you were 9, which is really heavy stuff. And I think this is the stuff that's come up to the surface for a lot of people, right? It's the real deep stuff. I mean, Aries has been in Chiron, so that's the deepest wound of the self. And a lot of times, those deep wounds, they come from early childhood. They come from the foundational years. And then we don't know how to process it at that time. We're too young to be able to really integrate those experiences, and so they leave like a psychic imprint on us, and that's difficult. It's difficult to sort of disrupt those neural loops. It's what causes us to kind of act out patterns repeatedly. Wow. So you had a lot of family upheaval. Your roots really been rocked. Have you always kind of felt as you've moved through life like you always lacked stability? Did you always feel like it was really hard to feel a sense of stability in your life? Yeah. Yeah, because when it's that foundational, where you've dealt with themes of abandonment from the time you were a child, that's something that stays really lodged in, your chakra centers. It stays very lodged in the root chakra. Root chakra, Muladhara, is all about your grounding cord. It's about your sense of feeling rooted in this reality. It's your sense of feeling like you have a place of belonging, like you have support. And so this is a really good way to focus your energy. I don't know what that's about, but I'm very much straight, and that's just weird. Some people are very weird. Okay, we're gonna do this. Yeah. Hold on up a minute. Very weird. Yeah, staying off the grid. You can stay off this grid, whoever you are. What a weirdo, man. Anyway, uh, this is energy that can really stick with us for a long time. When you've had something that happened at that young of an age, what it does is it sort of like cuts off your grounding cord, and that makes it very difficult to be able to just have a sense of stability, have a sense of belonging in your world. Okay, so that's when you can do really simple things to get, restabilized. It doesn't require that you have a lot of knowledge about how to work with the chakra system. But when we're looking at the root chakra, you got to like look at just bare bones basics. It's a matter of making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're getting good quality food, that you're, showing up for yourself, making sure that you're also taking time each day to just ground yourself out, and that is really easily achieved by spending time in nature. It's also good to have people that you can lean on, people that you can feel a sense of support with, and have that be a safe space where, you can come and you can share when you're feeling challenged, right? In some cases, it may require looking into getting some counseling. I mean, it's really important if you're working through really heavy, intense stuff in relation to childhood trauma. It's absolutely important that you have support moving through that territory. But what's really common for people is they don't get the support, and they still have that holdover stuff from childhood, and it stays really lodged in their cellular memory. And it causes us to kind of continue to act out the same patterns. So this is starting to really do this work, that psychic healing, psychic integration, and calling all of those parts of you back to yourself. I mean, there's times where you may even experience soul loss, the concept of soul loss, or you can look at it as sort of a psychic imprint that's become very attached to a particular point in time when you experienced a real deep sense of wounding, you know? And it's really important if you feel like that. Usually, if you have soul loss or you have some kind of psychic attachment to a time when you experienced a trauma, what you'll experience is a feeling like there's always something missing, like you don't feel quite like yourself. And you notice a real delineation between where you are now in this feeling of like something's missing and where it was lost, okay? And so a lot of times that just involves doing work to be able to make reconnection with that part of yourself and just call that part of you home. And there's different ways that you can approach it. You certainly can approach it therapeutically. You can also do journeying work around it. That's a more shamanistic sort of approach. And actually, in a lot of therapeutic settings, they do employ journeying work. They will work with shamanistic principles to help you call those soul parts back. But I think this is something that's coming up for a lot of people right now because we have been moving through that territory of, addressing the energy of Pluto and everything that it brought up to the surface for us. And we're moving out of that territory, but we still got, a lot that's been communicating through Scorpio. And we're just at the last stages of that. It's all like this wave of energy brought in with the grand water trine to help us really clear the decks of this, okay? There's also the tendency, right, to disassociate a bit, disconnect from the emotions when they feel really intense. And that's why right now, what's so important is that we create a space for ourselves where if you are moving through activating stuff, you have a way to actually sit with it, integrate it, allow it to do what it needs to do to work through you so you can actually release it and get to the other side of it. So that does require grounding, it requires support. And you certainly can find ways to support yourself just by making sure you're taking care of yourself, making sure that you're getting enough rest and you're doing just the basics, But it's also a matter of making sure that you're tending to other matters as well, that you are reaching out, making contact with people that you do feel comfortable opening up with, and that you don't isolate. That's important too, okay? But yeah, aside from that, because I'm not really seeing that energy at the forefront here, I think it's the basis of the matter. There's been a lot of this psychic integration work, right? But this is really about what's coming in. And it is time to like wrap up the old stuff. We can't drag it forward. Which makes me think about when you over process something too. Each of us has been through really rough stuff in our lives. I don't think there's anybody on the face of this earth that hasn't been through some kind of trauma. But if you stay there too long in the processing place, then it kind of just keeps you steeped in that energy. And so you become a conduit for that. You kind of keep drawing the same kind of experiences towards you externally because you haven't really had the opportunity to bring that to a close. And it's okay to close up for a while, deep healing processes too. You don't have to kind of hold on to the energy and see it through to the end. Yeah, it's okay to let it change with metamorphosis coming in here. And see, this is actually the energy we're meant to move into right now. It's more of a flowering kind of energy. It's a time when we're meant to come out of this place being really contained, self-contained, in some cases isolated, holding everything in, holding our dreams in as well. Like a lot of us have been seeding these things, but we haven't started to really do the work of planting the seed and watering the seed and nurturing this ground of what will become our future reality if we actually start to move the energy out of the dream space and into action. And a lot of times that's very helpful in healing trauma too. It's about moving it into action. In fact, in any kind of recovery process, one of the main things that will get you to the other side is having a sense of purpose. So if you connect with something that really fires you up, it gets your heart on board, it makes you feel alive again, that is the very thing that will get you over your addictions. That is the very thing that will help you feel connected to your life again and will prevent you from going to that place of disassociation where you press the eject button whenever anything gets tough. A sense of purpose, something that your heart is really invested in, something that gets you on board, will help you overcome so many limitations in your life. So there is something that is coming in here that will give a sense of purpose. And Spirit's kind of sending the memo here that it's like, y'all have done a lot of processing. We've all done a lot of processing. And you can only reflect on something so much. At a certain point, it's like chop wood, carry water. You got to do the work externally. You got to set something in motion. It's not just about like sitting contemplating our navels, because that can really keep us held in an energy pattern. It's important to see that there can be new possibilities, that things don't always have to be the way they've always been. And this is like green Tara energy coming through here, green Dakini medicine. And green Tara always has a right foot forward because she's very much of the mindset of, I'm going to do something. I'm going to lead the charge. I'm not just going to sit around and look at what's not working, what's not right, what feels like it's lacking. But I'm going to do what I can to set things in motion so how I dream things to be can actually start to get rooted in my reality, right? But it starts first with the self. We have to be able to rise up out of the shadow. We have to leave the shadows behind. We have to start facing the sun. We have to start facing the sun so the shadows can fall behind us. What is that happiness that we're hoping to cultivate in our lives? It may seem like it's far off, but there's ways that we can reclaim simple pleasures in each and every day and get back to the heart of who we are, back to the heart of who we are, right? There's a lot of unmasking that's happening at this time. You're seeing the facade fall away. You're seeing the facade others sort of keep in place fall away. You're seeing others as they truly are. As you're seeing others as they truly are, you're seeing reflections of you there too, This is actually a really beautiful energy where it's like releasing old cycles, old creative cycles, recognizing that, okay, that was a dream at one point, but now who I've come to be because I've been going through this radical transformation wants to birth new things. I want to dream a new dream. And it's also understanding that people that you're interacting with, they're also going through this experience too. We all are. So it's a whole new territory for everybody to move through. But I feel like this is a beautiful energy moving forward. There's a chariot coming in here. And there's something that flowers, and whatever flowers here is the authentic expression of you. It's something that you're meant to lead the charge in. And it has a feeling of just all the bad blood sort of being cleansed away. There's more metamorphosis coming in. Let me see what we got here. We've got a crossing energy. Yep. That's what it's about. The crossing energy is coming through acceptance. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting hung up. And look, it's coming in again with Neptune. So we got so much Neptunian energy coming through. So much Neptunian energy coming through. And with it to be coming through this strongly, And with acceptance showing up as the roadblock, that lets me know that people are still in this sort of like smoke and mirrors sort of space where they're kind of shadow boxing and they haven't really like let go. A lot of that can be related to bad blood, you know, it can be related to grudge energy, just sort of like looking back at the way things went, the way things you wanted didn't turn out, you know, as you anticipated, as you hoped for. And instead of sort of accepting that, releasing it, and trusting that there's a reason for that, you know, whether it's a matter of timing or whether it's a matter of, you know, misalignment that maybe you don't recognize yet because you haven't been through a certain transformation process. Until there is like this release and this acceptance, radical acceptance, there's going to be no way to sort of step forward. The shadow will always cling, you know. Radical acceptance is a way to free oneself from the crossroads for sure. And if you've done all you can do in a situation and you've tried every avenue, and even if you did deal with something really gnarly where somebody hurt you very deeply, at some point, it is what it is. And you have to accept it. There's a need here to really let go of what didn't go the way one desired, right? Because if that isn't really embraced at this time, I feel like what's going to happen, see, it's kind of created this like haze over the rest of your life where there's all these details with the mouse medicine. There's all these details that are so essential to what you need for healing and integration that you're missing because it's like this psychic imprint of this is what happened back there, and the whole narrative and the story around it is so firmly held in place that it doesn't allow you to see certain details, things that may seem small but are actually really significant and so necessary for the healing you need at this time, the integration you need at this time, the nurturing of really what wants to come in here for you. And so I feel like if this acceptance like isn't embraced, what's going to happen is it's going to invite a tower. That's usually the way it works. It's sort of like an awakening moment comes in. So the more that people are really able to just like open themselves up and say, okay, that was really rough, or that really hurts, or I'm really angry at this person, right? And sometimes that's exactly where it starts, admitting to yourself what you really feel and accept it. Don't make yourself wrong for it. Don't try to control what you feel. Don't try to contain it. But understand that even if you are feeling difficult emotions, things that you don't want to feel, that's the first start, is accepting what you feel. That's what creates space, you know, to actually be able to open up to why things went the way they did, you know, why they went the way they did. A lot of times when things go left like that and you had an idea that they were supposed to turn out a certain way, it's because it's meant to take us in an entirely different direction. It was a misalignment. And does it mean there will never be alignment in the future? Maybe. But you can't spend your life waiting around on a maybe. You only got, you know, so much time here on this earth. So it's about really activating that quality of presence. And that's the key when it comes to radical acceptance. It really is about being present. Because if you're too focused on the past, or you're always projecting, worried about the future, you can't accept because you're never right where you're at, you know? So there's something coming in here about really a need to, maybe if you've been processing stuff collective for a while emotionally, and it's been really heavy on you, there's a need to kind of just allow things to be what they are. Even if you haven't come to a place of having understanding, then accept that. I accept I don't understand the situation right now. I don't understand why it went the way it did, but it must have happened for a reason that I'll understand at some point. But right now, I'm going to look at what's going down right here, and I'm going to start to move forward. And more we start to bring our energy back to this moment and right where we're at, the more that things start to shift here. More things start to shift. I'm glad you're back, Jamie. Okay. And what do we got here? Yeah, I like this. This is really beautiful. Again, Mercury coming in with the sun now. So see, it's like getting the orientation on lock, getting the orientation set on the sun. That thing that pours life into us, focusing on the light rather than being sort of too plugged into the shadowy quality, which is a challenge because we're still sort of moving out of the slogginess of the retrograde action. There's still some stuff in retrograde. It's not all done being in retrograde. And one of the major retrograde cycles we got going on is Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. Okay, so when we look at the house of Cancer, that's all about our roots. It's all about our family origin. It's about our origin story. It's about our sense of belonging. It's about what feels like home. Okay, so we're going to be going over this old ground for a while. So make sure when that stuff does come up, you hold space for it, but don't hold so much space for it that you can't focus on what's going on right here, because that's so important. There's also a lot of activation coming in right now too. Ancient memory is awakening. There's stuff that's surfacing within you that is kind of coded in your DNA. It's why you're here. It's why you incarnated, and especially at this time on planet Earth when so much is rocking and rolling and there is so much upheaval and so much is in a steady state of flux and transformation. There's protection here with rosemary. Once again, we have like the ancestral energy coming on through. What was built from the past, what we're bringing forward from the past, what is in our blood song, and how we're carrying that forward, now. There really is something to that. There really is something to genetic memory and just the body as it functions. I mean, it's a wonder. And science has done a lot of study into this area. There's cellular memory. There's things that we just know intrinsically, we feel intrinsically, and that's because there's cellular memory. And that cellular memory, it's passed on through the DNA, so this is a lot surfacing that has roots in the deep, deep past. And you'll really start to make those connecting points the more you start diving into your roots. What I'm really noticing coming in here with this energy is it does seem to be really focused on the roots. So I think this is what's coming through, like the next 72 hours. It would do everybody a world of good to focus on Muladhara root chakra. Indulge yourself in some grounding activities. And what grounds you out may be different from what grounds another. So trust what speaks to you. For some of you, you feel really grounded when you pull out your yoga mat, and you let yourself just drop in with your body and work out the tension, and you allow yourself that space. Some of you feel really grounded when you allow yourself time to get outdoors, maybe go for a walk in the woods, do a little forest bathing, or maybe just give yourself an opportunity to wake up with the rising sun and sit outside and drink a cup of coffee as you reflect on your day, and what you plan on doing that day. Some of you, you may be more Virgoan in mindset. What grounds you out is really having like a set routine in place. You like to have a schedule. You like to know how you're utilizing your time, and that also helps you kind of enter more of a flow in your life because you're not constantly in this space stressed out, all tabs open, trying to keep track of everything you need to do in the day. So whatever works for you to create a sense of grounding and stability in your life, let that come in at this time. Rosemary is wonderful too. Rosemary's great for smoke cleansing. Rosemary's great for asperging. You can just get a bunch of rosemary. You can find rosemary growing out all over the place in the wild. It's really easy to get your hands on some rosemary, but you can get like a bundle of rosemary. You can dip it in water and you can asperge. You can cleanse with water, which is actually a really nice way to sort of merge the earth energy with the water energy right now, just sort of symbolically in doing your house cleansing. Or you can even steep up a nice rosemary tea and you can use that as a washing, as a floor washing, or you can add it to your spiritual baths. You can do steam inhalations and, get a nice basin of water, heat it up, add some sprigs of fresh rosemary in there. Tent your head with a towel, breathe deeply. That's great for emotional release too. And getting old stuff that's like lodged in the lungs that holds your grief in up and out, It'll give you more breathing room. Give you more breathing room too, as also this wants to come in. Because another thing rosemary does is rosemary holds an energy charge of love, but it creates a sense of safety around opening up to the heart space. It creates a sense of safety around opening up to love. So you might want to work with rosemary a bit. And also for those who haven't really done a lot of work looking into their bloodline, looking into their genealogy, their ancestry, I really encourage you to start to explore it, because you'll be so surprised if you start to really dive into that. And where do I come from? Where do my ancestors come from? What were their spiritual practices? What were their beliefs? What was important to them? What were their struggles? What were their triumphs? Like this kind of energy. And as you start to tap into it, it's fascinating. You really discover how much there is the connection. And it is a source of strength and rooting at this time. 3 energy coming in, Empress energy, merged with this metamorphosis, the Chariot coming in to move us forward out of the shadow into a time of flowering. After we cross this bridge of radical acceptance for whatever went down in the past, will have us in this beautiful place of taking the lead in our lives to strike balance, entering fully into the waterway. We're going to ride out that grand water trine. It's going to carry us to new shores. It's going to help us spot that star that's meant just for us, that guiding star. We're going to catch the tail of that shooting star. We're going to join with others in community. There's going to be other people who are going to join us on this road. There is the rainbow here in the backdrop. There is gold at the end of that rainbow. It's the alchemy of self-transformation and the way that transforms our lives and the way it transforms our connections with others as well. But it's also the sign that the storm is past, We don't have to stay in this place where we fight what happened. We can accept it and thereby avoid another tower. Because see, the wake-up call has to come. And you don't have to wait for it to be delivered. You can take charge. You can do it right here, right now. You can say, I'm not going to hold on to the bad blood. I'm not going to hold on to those things that I tried to create before, but they fell flat, or they weren't as fulfilling as I thought they were, or it was just out of alignment, whatever it may be. I can let that go. I can leave that behind. I'm ready to open up to something new. And that's when all of the ancient memory is going to resurface in you. And in some cases, because you brought it in, Jamie, and I think it has, so much credence, especially with the territory we're moving through right now. In some cases, if you do have a lot of early childhood trauma, and you've been in a process of integrating all that, and a lot of people have with Aries and Chiron, it's the deepest wound of the self. So of course, it's going to deal with the root of you, your being, what you rose up out of. This can be memories that are being recovered, okay, which may initially come through sort of repressed memories, resurfacing, but when they clear, what's behind that, what's been cloaked by that, are all these empowerments, all these gifts, all these treasures, all these dreams that are ready to be dusted off and actualized now, because you're actually ready to step into that leadership position, whether you know it or not. And a lot of people think that they don't have leadership qualities. but you really have to think about the experiences you've been through, the challenges you've been through. You're still here, you're still in it. That takes a certain resilience, that takes a certain resolve. And if you have the ability to navigate that kind of territory, you do have the ability to take the lead in your life, right? You do. And you have a lot of wisdom as well. A lot of wisdom. And see, there's something very magical that's being reclaimed here. It's something that's been buried under too much trauma. It's something that's been buried under too many old narratives about the way things are. And this is what you're really excavating here. It has that vibe. It's like, yeah, you have been hanging out in the underworld. You have been integrating a lot of heavy stuff. But as you've been down there in the underworld realm, digging real deep, you've also gotten to the place where you're just about to strike gold, okay? And this is what's coming through. It's coming in with the energy of both 3 and 7. So that Empress energy merging with the Chariot, something that carries us forward here. And it brings about the Wheel of Fortune. Everything turns around here. And there is a sign of this coming in Sagittarius season. It will show up on the scene. I feel like we're edging closer to it the more we get closer to the new moon in Sagittarius on the 19th. Okay, so be on the lookout for this because there is a lot showing up here. We got Uranus coming in again with Mercury coming in again. Neptune, like these are the energies that are really at the forefront. Neptune, Saturn, Pluto, Mercury, Uranus, big time, the moon in particular, new moon cycle. Okay. Yeah, this is what we're lining up with right now. We're getting lined up with our rebirth, right? It's the rebirth of Venus. That's what this is talking about. It's the rebirth of Venus. It's when the Empress wants to stir early. She wants to stir early. She wants to rise and shine early. She doesn't want to wait for the spring. So, this is about really being ready to call forward that light. I mean, the light's going to start to come in not too far off from now. By the time we get on the other side of the winter solstice, the light has returned, you see. So if you orient yourself with that right off the bat, then you're going to be able to just be in that position where you can really amplify that light when it comes in. Looks good though. There's big changes coming in here. These changes bring gifts. They are the blessings of Jupiter. And there is like a little dreamy quality to it. It may seem out of the ordinary the way that these blessings come in for you, these opportunities come in for you, but they won't let you kind of like sit idle. You got to like get the ticket and go for the ride. That's what I really see here. And yeah, there's something about leading a charge here, certainly. Leading a charge, something that has been charged to you. So let's go ahead and let's get some tarot around this. Maybe let me do a cut of the deck. I'll do a cut of the deck here. Just to sort of cap this off with these energies. Yeah, look at this, see? It's really about being at that place of inner peace in relation to the South Node stuff, the stuff that's gone before, right? You've got like deer medicine on the scene. Deer is associated with Gemini. We also got the sun and the moon here. See, it's like this beautiful, like kind of sun moon synergy. This is what's wanting to come into alignment. And I've been getting this message recently that we're really meant to put a lot of focus at this time on our moon sign. So, if you're not sure what your moon sign is, go get yourself a chart. You can go to astro.com, Astro Deans. You can get a free chart, and they have free extended charts too that allow you to look at any transits going on and the progression of your chart, all that. Look at what's going on with your moon, and also your moon frequently moves, so it's kind of cool to watch your moon progress as well and understand how to relate to it because it doesn't stay stagnant. I mean, nothing in our charts stays stagnant. They're always on the move, just like, the cosmos is always on the move. But There's something about really relating to where your moon is natally, okay? But also where is it in its progression and tapping into that energy. What sign is it in? What house is it in? And feeding those areas of your chart, bringing those areas up to the surface because they're meant to be more outwardly expressed at this time. And what it's going to do is it's going to create almost like a mirroring energy with this solar energy returning on the scene after winter solstice, where it's going to be as within, so without. And a lot of times when we dive into our lunar essence, when we drop more into our moon sign energy, that's like the soul stuff, you know? That's the part of us that it's got so much mana, but we often kind of like keep it concealed. And now it's really wanting to be revealed because there's something about it being key to our purpose here. And a lot of this does have to do with, in terms of being able to come into this place of alignment, again, that piece of acceptance, just making peace with the way things are. And if you are in a place where you're like, well, I don't understand why things happen the way they did, just be at peace with that. Okay, I don't understand. I don't understand, and I'm going to let this go because the more I try to understand it, the more I don't understand. And the more I kind of stay stuck in this place where I don't get the forward progression I want in my life. So I'm just going to trust that when it's time for me to understand, I will. And with a lot of that stuff where it is hard to resolve because maybe you're never going to have that conversation with that person, or maybe for some reason it's not possible, or you can never go back to the past. And some things are always going to leave their mark on you, you know? There comes a point when you can't process it anymore. And when you do come to a place of understanding why that happened, even with the really unfathomable stuff, and I've had this happen for myself too, it comes when you're not looking for it. It comes when you're not trying to process it. It comes when you've given up trying to figure it out and you just let it go and say, all right, I accept it. It is what it is. You know, it is what it is. And I got to get on with it because I'm here now and life's passing me by. And as long as I'm continuing to look back there, feed that, I'm being held back. I'm being held back, but by my own will, you know? And I think that that's why, for those who have really been struggling with issues like that for a long time, it is so important to have support. Because at least then, you know, if you do need to go through like some kind of therapeutic process or something with it, you have a little bit of sort of like a boundary held around that time of processing when you're going in, like dropping in for counseling, or, you know, or when you're dropping in with a support group, you know, things of that nature here. But with deer medicine, it's also about gentleness. There's more gentleness coming through here. And there really is this need to allow yourself to let go because life wants to communicate to you through more gentle experiences moving forward. It does. But in order for the gentleness to come in, you have to be more gentle with yourself. And you have to stop being so hard on yourself for not understanding why things went the way they did. You have to stop being so hard on yourself, you know, in relation to what you feel and the way everything went down and anything that's troubling you in relation to your past. You have to just kind of just be more gentle with yourself. And as you're more gentle with yourself, also in cases where it is possible, okay? Because I recognize some things that happen, they cut a little too deep. Some things that happen, they're a little too mean and heavy. Some things that happen, you may find it impossible to feel compassion for another, and that's okay. And if that's where you're at, don't make yourself wrong for that. You don't need to be wrong for that. That's where you're at. Accept that that's where you're at. Accept that you can't feel compassion for that. Well, begin with you. Feel compassion for yourself for that, all right? Begin there and allow that to kind of like soften the heart space, right? So these more gentle connections, these more gentle experiences, these more gentle communications can start to align for you, come in for you. Look at this, it's beautiful. Cauldron of Dagda energy, okay? So what you don't see right now, again, is this communication coming in. Something coming in very unexpectedly. It brings a brand new opportunity. It awakens a new vision for your life and moving forward. You see things very differently when this comes in. It brings in the hope on the other side of the storm. You start to understand why you went through what you went through as you take this opportunity that's going to come in for you and you set foot on this road. If you do, you'll really get things cooking. There's something that comes in that's a tremendous source of nourishment for you. And as it fills you up and as it waters all the best places inside of you, it nurtures others through your expression of that joy, of that fulfillment, of that alignment. And it guides people to you, people who will share the path with you that are in alignment with you. So this is beautiful energy coming in here for you. And it's the journey. It's the opening of a journey. You're going to be surprised where you've been feeling held back. The road is opening here and there is a way forward. A very unexpected way forward that you have not anticipated up till now. There is a curveball energy here, okay? All right, let's see here. Yeah, see? Turn around. That's all you need to do. Turn around. Ah, I love it. See? See how that works? Are you glad? Are you glad that you decided not to throw in the towel and just completely let go of the channel? Yeah, believe in yourself, Jamie, okay? I know it's rough. People don't understand. People who don't, try to get their own channel going, they don't know what it's like to come on here. You got to deal with a lot of stuff. And yeah, you put yourself out there, you pour yourself into what you do. And sometimes you deal with trolls, and sometimes you deal with negativity, and sometimes you feel like you're kind of just like yelling into the wind and nobody's hearing you, nobody's receiving your creativity, nobody's receiving your messages, nobody is recognizing what you're doing, what you're putting out there. You can't be hard on yourself about that though. How long did it take me? Well, I kind of came into it where I already had traction from building up an audience on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm not on any social media anymore. I had to pull out of all that. But I already had a little traction there, but it took me probably to hit 1,000 subs and finally get to a place where I could start to get some traction. It took me about 2 years of hardcore grinding it out. I mean, I was really relentless. I worked really hard. Very, very focused. I'm monetized now. Yeah, I'm monetized now. But it took about 2 years to get there, and it's not something that I was able to just sit around on my ass to get to that point. I really had to work hard for it. And you face a lot in putting yourself out here doing this too. You'll deal with negativity from people who just want to people who just want to project their BS on you for whatever reason, Oh, I don't have a play button. I'm 1,000. You need to have what? You need to have 100,000 subscribers to get a play button. And you know what? It's just a vanity thing. That's a vanity thing. It's if I got that someday, that'd be great, But if I stay right where I'm at, that's okay too. I don't do it for that. I'm doing it because I feel called to do it. And yeah, it's my work. It is my work. But I am doing it because I feel called to do it. And I'm not for everybody, I'm not. I don't like to play by the rules of what is the current algorithm that's been sort of programmed by the masses. What's the favor you want? What's the favor you want? I'll wait until you post it for me and we'll see what I can do. Yeah, so that makes it even harder because I don't want to read on drama. I don't want to read on karmics. I don't want to get into all that. I don't like it. I feel like Every time that energy comes up in a read, it's frustrating to me because I just feel like it's counterproductive and it takes people further away from what they need to be focused on and what's beneficial, what's aligned with growth, or what can help people sort of get over their past stuff and move forward in the future. So I don't like to do, readings on that kind of stuff. And that's what's popular. That's what everybody wants. So you get buried. And you have to be patient with yourself, Jamie, because you have to understand that at the tail end of last year, there was something like 32 new countries were added to the list of being able to actually get monetized. So that created a lot of new creators. So now there's like millions and millions and millions of other creators out there, putting their stuff out there. And it takes a while. It takes a while to build traction. So you have to be consistent with it. You have to be consistent with it. It's not something you can just say like, oh, every now and then I'm going to come on. I mean, you can do that if you're just doing it for fun. But if you do want to really do it as something to gain traction with, and you would like it, to become your work at some point, if you feel a calling to that, like you have sort of like a mission, like this is my calling, I have a message to share, or I have something that I'm really meant to put out there, and that's what you feel pulled to do, you gotta work for it. You gotta work. And you can't give up. You can't give up. When you experience failure, you can't give up. You can't give up. When you deal with negativity, you can't give up. Not everybody's gonna like what you do. Not everybody's gonna like you. You have to develop a real thick skin too. It doesn't matter. You don't have to take on other people's opinions of you. You know what I mean? You don't need to take on other people's opinions of you. You know? Uh, they're just projections. The reality is people who play around like that, it's like they're just hiding behind some anonymous screen name anyway. So it's like, why are you going to let yourself be intimidated by that? So yeah, there's times you really just feel like you're getting nowhere and you're working really hard, but everybody goes through that. I don't think that that's sort of the perception that people have though, because they hear so much about like people going viral and this and that and the other. And there's a lot of things that go into that too. Some people buy subscribers. I don't do that. Some people use Famester. I don't do that. I chose to build my channel organically. I felt like if people are drawn to me, cool. And if they're not, well, I'm not for them. I'm not going to beg them to, feel resonance with me or, support me. That's the way it is. And I knew that people who did align with me, if I went about it in that way and I didn't play by the rules of the game, they would be people who are authentically in alignment with me. And that's more important than anything else at the end of the day. Because those are the people I want to work with, Those are the people that I want to build community with, okay? So yeah, when you let me know what this favor is that you're hoping I can help you with, if there is something I can do, I will surely do it. If it feels like it's in alignment, I will certainly do it. So let it down, Jamie. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get a round of tarot cards out here. So need to leave the disappointments behind because this alignment's coming in collective, and if you don't turn around, bright eyes, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it. And then you're going to wonder. You're going to wonder why, Oh, that's sweet. Well, you can always do a super, or you can always, I got Venmo and I got my Cash App at the top of my channel page. I'll watch your tarot reading. I'll have you what? I will watch you do tarot? You do tarot readings? Is that what you do on your channel? Jamie? I'm happy to watch one of your readings. I'm going to check out your channel. I'm going to check out your channel after I get off this live. And I'll even share it. I'll share it on my community board. Oh, it's a movie. Ooh. Are you a movie maker? Is that what you're into? Are you a movie maker? I've really gotten into production myself. I'm doing some studies in film school too. No. What movie? What movie do you want me to watch? I don't smoke cigarettes and I don't have no regrets. Sure you're not smelling yourself there? Tarot on Netflix. Oh, I don't have Netflix, but I'll see what I can do. If I can figure out a way to check it out, I will. Cigarettes and regrets. Smelling yourself. Anyway, okay, let's check it out. Let's see what tarot wants to come through. Let's see what tarot wants to come through here. Just to cap this off, getting more details from tarot. Alright, so we got a King of Swords in reverse. Perhaps that's who just left the comment about cigarettes and regrets. They're feeling a little salty there. King of Swords in reverse, trying to cut me down to size, trying to cut a bra down to size. You may be dealing with people who are like talking out the side of their neck, collective. You could experience some of this at that time. Oh, you don't need to gift me any money. You don't need to gift me any money, Jamie. Like I said, I'm doing this because I feel called to do it, all right? So don't worry about any of that. You got to just let it roll off you like water off a duck's back. Because see, look, this is where you are, collective. You're in this position where whatever you've been working on here, you're just about to see it pay off. This is that pre-Empress energy. This is a lot of growth mentally, emotionally, spiritually. This is being in a really healthy place in your life. This is focusing on the foundation, have it really pay off. This is also things that you've invested in, those seeds you've been planting, they're all coming to bloom. They're all coming in as your harvest here, okay? So of course you're going to get some people who are going to say some negative things to you because this is where they're at. Do you see? They're in this place of lack. There are people who don't understand how they can get to this place themselves. And so whenever somebody sees that, you know, you've been able to pull yourself out of something and actually make something for yourself, then, you know, they try to cut that down because that's how they feel like they're somebody, right? You got to just let that slide. You got to let that slide off of you, okay? Because this is really about things that you've been working on, things you've been investing, things you've been growing here. They're all coming to this place of fruition with the King of Pentacles. Really good energy. Really good energy here, right? So where you were experiencing lack, you're experiencing a sense of abundance coming in here, having more than enough of what you need here. And it has something to do with what you brought to a close here with the world. You got out of sort of this fixed mindset, and that's creating all kinds of possibilities for you. So look for the road opening up ahead here. And there is some kind of like personal feeling of, you know, I did that, you know, coming in with this. Do you like God? This is an interesting question because I relate to this concept of, you could call it God, but I call it many different things. I have this perspective that everything is one energy. It's just all one energy. And we're all part of it. And you could call that God. You could also call that goddess, you know. You could call that creation. You could call that creator. It's known by many different names. And I know that many people call it by many different names. And it's just sort of the way that they relate to that force that's moving throughout all of existence. They relate to it as God, or they relate to it as goddess, or they relate to it as nature itself. So for me, it's just that. It's just that. And it takes many different forms for me, but do I believe that there is like a greater force? Yes. I do feel there's a greater force, and I feel like we're all part of it. I feel like we're different aspects of it acting out in the material realm. Like, I feel like it's sort of that creative force wanted to have an experience, through different aspects of its nature, and that's what we are. Ow. I had a fracture once. I fractured my elbow once a long time ago. It was brutal, man. It's all better now, though. That was a long time ago. Fractures are not fun. Okay? So this looks good. All right? You're moving out of a time of lack. But do be prepared that as you start to step into this, you're going to deal with some negativity from other people because they're still there. They've made a home there. And it smells like cigarettes and regret. All right, one more round here. One more round here. One more round here. Yeah. Yeah. What you're coming to a close with here, it's all good. And this is what you need to recognize. Because you don't want to be there. That wasn't your celebration. That wasn't your arrival point. There's something much better on the other side of this, okay? And you are about to have this opportunity. You're going to have this power put right in your hands, and it's going to transform everything. And this is coming soon. This ace is coming soon. I'm closing out right now, Jamie. Okay, and on the split here, okay, we have that desire to stay in a place of security, but you see, if you focus too much on being in that safe zone and you're not willing to take the risk, take the lead, it could cost you this. There's something here where you're going to get this opportunity, but it does require you sort of step out of your comfort zone. It does require that you feel a bit like a fish out of water. And it does require that you actually act on it, maybe make a very important move too, out of one situation, out of an area you live, an area of expertise, and you strike out and invest in this. But if you do, it looks like it pays off really big. I mean, this is double confirmation coming on through, okay? And that looks like the energy and the message I have for you all. And thank you, Jamie. Thank you for dropping in. It was really good talking to you, connecting with you. And I'll check out your channel, okay? I'll check out whatever you got going on there, right? And I'll give you a shout out on the community board, and we'll see if you can get some more subscribers. So I'm glad you got some coming on board as we've been talking on the live here, right? And to all of you who showed up, I really appreciate you. Thank you for dropping in. And even to good old cigarettes and regrets there, deuces, man. I hope it looks up for you soon. All right, take care, y'all. I'll see you again sometime soon.